Windows has a lot of problems. It's been stuck in that good, bad cycle basically since its inception, and at this point, so little fundamentally changes that both of my grandmas know what the start button does. But what's this? And what are these? How did I do that? Buckle up, dear viewer, because we are about to get our hands dirty with some lesser known features of Windows. And once you've joined us, you will become more powerful than I can possibly imagine. Powerful, like our sponsor. War Thunder. War Thunder is the free-to-play online vehicle combat game. The one! With over 2,000 different vehicles, surely there's something for everyone to pilot. Check out the link below to learn more and get some extra items after signing up. Our first trick is on your Windows PC right now, and has been for a long while. Group Policy Editor sounds very boring, but it allows you to tweak some very interesting settings under the hood. Like, have you ever wanted to hide certain settings so your less tech-savvy relatives don't mess them up? Or how about turning off some of Windows's phone home features? There are a seriously massive number of dials and knobs that you can adjust in here to customize Windows. And if you've ever used a locked down library or work PC, I assure you that it's at least partially thanks to group policies. The issue, though, is that by default, it doesn't come with home editions of Windows. A shining example of an artificial limitation, and it is exactly the sort of thing that Microsoft has been criticized for in the past. Not to worry, though, because you can force it by opening a command prompt as administrator and using these commands. It'll take about 30 seconds, and once it's done, even home users can enjoy fuller control over their PC. I mean, yes, you could make these adjustments yourself if you like to roleplay as a registry hacker man, but this way is far easier and, in my opinion, more of a middle finger to Microsoft anyway. For a two-handed bird, if that method doesn't work for you, you can grab PolicyPlus instead. It's not built into Windows, it's not from Microsoft, but it's open source and offers the same functionality with a similar interface. Speaking of, have you ever had an app that runs on startup but has to use admin privileges so it asks you every single time you boot your PC? Enter Task Scheduler. You can create a basic task that starts up the app when you log in, then check this box before clicking finish. And you see that Run with Highest Privileges button? Check that. You should go to the Settings tab and make sure to uncheck this box to make sure it doesn't stop running after the default of 3 days. And that's it, done. You'll never see it again. And there are all kinds of knobs and dials in here to make stuff run automatically exactly the way that you want. Like, you can make things happen or not when you're on battery, or you can make it wait for when there's a network connection. If you've got multiple things you want to run with the same rules, just add more actions. Want to pop up an alert whenever Windows detects a disk error? You got it, just add a new trigger. This is seriously underrated stuff. I used to use it to crank up my speaker volume, then play music as an alarm for school when my clock was broken. There are also some app suites that you can download to further enhance your Windows experience. If you've heard of those ones before, you might think that this section is going to be all about PowerToys. You'd be wrong. But those are super cool, and we are gonna talk about those first. PowerToys are Microsoft's own in-house extensions to Windows, and they've been around in some form or another since the Windows 95 days. If you were around back then and remember using Tweak UI, a tool to change the responsiveness of the start menu, that was a PowerToy. Some of the PowerToys released over time have actually made their way into mainstream Windows as well. Virtual desktops, window previews in the Alt-Tab menu, and virtual CD-ROM drives are just some of them. So in that sense, PowerToys can be seen as kind of a playground for Microsoft engineers to trial future features. Today's PowerToys have a wide variety of functions, with my favorites being FancyZones, PowerToys Run, and Keyboard Manager. FancyZones is basically essential for anyone with a large or ultra-wide or otherwise non-traditional desktop layout, because it makes it super easy to quickly snap windows to specific portions of your screen. It effectively replaces the standard window manager and is just a step away from the tiling window managers that you'd find in the Linux world, complete with dedicated keyboard controls for focusing windows and the ability to control the sizes and positions of your windows. There's nothing quite like it on any other operating system. PowerToys Run is one of those things you would expect to be built into Windows, but is not. So thank goodness it exists as a PowerToy. It's basically Apple's Spotlight search, and it is thankfully not the same as the Start menu search. Often the results will be substantially more accurate and useful. Like Spotlight, you can make it do calculations, unit conversions, and much more, and it's super quick to get at with the default key combo being Alt-Space. Personally, I change it to Windows Space since that's what you'd use for it on a Mac, and Alt-Space is already used in Windows for window control. Keyboard Manager, this one's super cool. If you've ever wanted to remap a key or create macros, but you don't want to use memory-hungry third-party software, this is for you. You can map any key to any other key, including combinations. And what's even cooler is that you can map keyboard shortcuts on a per app basis. It's not powerful enough to be able to record and play back long sequences of keystrokes, but it's enough to handle a lot of common tasks. Enough about PowerToys though. I promised to go deeper, and I shall. Look how deep I'm going. Microsoft has another group of utilities that are technically under their umbrella as well, called Sysinternals, which they acquired back in 2006 when it was called Winternals and run by Mark Rusinovich. They're a lot like PowerToys, but with more focused use cases, often with the goal of getting under the operating system's hood. There's a massive number of these that are being updated to this day, but the most broadly useful, in my opinion, are Autoruns, Process Explorer, and TCPView. Honorable mention goes to RegJump, by the way, because it is such a useful tool to quickly open the registry editor to a specific key. Just run it as administrator and paste in the path. No navigating through the little tree. Now we've talked about Autoruns before, and for good reason. Autoruns gives you the ability to see virtually every startup item, service, and DLL that is registered for use inside of Windows. In the default view, it hides Windows standard entries, but still is probably going to be chock full of stuff that you probably won't recognize. The good news is that a lot of this is normal and entirely benign, even some of the things highlighted in red or completely empty. It's still a super useful tool though, especially for advanced users when they're trying to diagnose malware infections or misbehaving drivers. The double-edged sword here is that its power makes it potentially dangerous for inexperienced users who don't know what they're looking for. The good news is if you're inexperienced, you can simply save the state of the system and send it over so a more experienced eyes can open it up on another computer to analyze and modify via the Analyze Offline System function. It is indispensable for troubleshooting. Process Explorer is like Task Manager, but on roids. In fact, you can even replace Task Manager with it. You can see the performance history of a given process, see all the connections it has open, see what the environment it was launched with was, and so much more. If you're curious what files a program has open, you can show the lower pane and click the Handles tab to see. And if you want to find out which process has a file open, you can use the Find Handle or DLL function to get a complete listing. Clicking on the results brings you directly to that process. And if you're not sure what process a window is attached to, use the crosshairs icon. Bam! There is so much utility in here, including some that made it into the official Task Manager eventually, like the Search Online function. Then there's TCPView. This looks a lot like Process Explorer, but instead shows you all the network connections that your computer is currently maintaining, grouped by the process that's using them. This can be a little overwhelming to look at while it's constantly changing around, so you can pause it to leaf through it on your own time. The remote address is the server that the connection is made to, and you can look it up right in TCPView via the Whois function to see where it is. Not everything can be ID'd this way though, and that doesn't indicate a security problem in itself. So like most of these tools, it's all about giving you the ability to peek under the hood, which can be a godsend when it comes to troubleshooting who might be listening. Back to some included features though. You might be aware that Windows 11 added the ability to run Android apps if you watched our video testing it out. But did you know that you can also run full-blown Linux right on top of Windows? Windows Subsystem for Linux is available on both Windows 10 and Windows 11 and does exactly what it says on the tin. Open a terminal as administrator, type WSL -- install, and following a reboot, you're ready to rock. If you're not feeling the default Ubuntu, you can get a list of available alternatives using this command. Then install your choice with this one. You're not limited to just one either, so have fun experimenting. You can even install and run desktop apps within them, and they will appear right on your desktop. WSL isn't just for experimentation though. Did you know that File Explorer can show Linux folders now too? You can even pass through Linux formatted drives and access them via your WSL distro. This is super useful, not only for dual booters, but also for system admins who might run Windows desktops, but manage Linux servers. I mean, sure, you could spin up a Linux install specifically for disaster recovery, or you could just use WSL. One thing WSL can't give you that's becoming common in Linux though, is a drop-down terminal like Quake or Quake. But what if I told you you can get the same thing in Windows even without WSL as of 2021? Officially called Quake Mode, this will give you exactly what you're after with the key combo of your choice. Just open a terminal window, go to Settings, then Actions. Click Add New, then choose Show Hide Quake Window. You will need to launch Windows Terminal first for this to work, but thankfully we've given you the tools to show you how to automatically launch it at startup, right? Then just set it to hide in the notification area once it's minimized. Now you've got a terminal available to you whenever you need one. And if you want more out of your terminal, this one isn't built into Windows, but it is recommended by the official documentation. You can get fancy extended functionality and custom prompts in the terminal if you use Oh My Posh. It's available on the Microsoft Store for free, and it looks a lot like Oh My ZSH on Linux and macOS, hence the name. If all you want is to customize the theme of your terminal though, you won't need anything like that, and you can even go as far as to set a background image in the profile settings. Seriously, Anthony's a Linux user and still feels that this is one of the slickest terminal interfaces out there, while still remaining easy to use. There's even a package manager now via winget, which lets you install even desktop software directly from a terminal, which means you can automate it and automate updating it. Seriously. Basically everything we searched for that has a freely available Windows version on or off the Microsoft Store is in there. And if it's not, you can probably find it in Chocolatey, which you can also install through winget. Isn't that wild? Not only does Windows have a good terminal now, it also has SSH support for remote access, both as a client and as a server. The client is built in, and you just use it like any other SSH client. It even supports port forwarding and file transfers. The cherry on top is that if you're into using keys for SSH, which you should be, some password managers, like 1Password, offer the ability to use what's known as an SSH agent so that your keys are available without needing to copy them to your PC. When you try to connect, you'll get a prompt to unlock your password manager, and you're off to the races. The server function, meanwhile, needs to be installed through the optional features. Just click View Features, then search for SSH, and OpenSSH Server is right there. Install it and you're ready to go. By going to this folder and editing the sshd_config file, you can set up private keys for better security, port forwarding, and more, just like you would on Linux. There's all kinds of little things sprinkled throughout Windows too. Like, did you know that there are keyboard shortcuts for stuff like this? That's not even close to all of them. One of them does what you probably already know about if you've ever right-clicked the Start menu, which is in itself a really useful feature that was first introduced in Windows 8. And there's also that God Mode folder that makes the rounds from time to time, although I don't personally think it's that useful. It's basically all the options in Control Panel laid out in a list. But hey, if it's useful for you, just create a folder and name it like this. What I feel is more useful, this has saved me lots of times, are the application menu and the shutdown command. The application menu is what you get if you click an app's icon in its title bar. What's important here is that move command. In the likely case that something weird happens and a window ends up way outside of the visible screen area, or like on another monitor you can't get to and there's no way to interact with it, just select it on the taskbar, then use the keyboard shortcut to activate the menu, Alt-Space. Then hit M. Press an arrow key, any one of them, then move your mouse. That window is now attached to your cursor. Click to set it down and breathe a sigh of relief. Maybe cozy up with a retro polar fleece from lttstore.com. Hey, you've earned it. Then there's the shutdown command. This one is very useful. If you've ever found yourself with no video output whatsoever and the hotkey to reset the video driver isn't working, but then you hit caps lock or numlock and your keyboard LEDs still function, so the thing must be on, you can still safely shut down and reboot. Hold the Windows key and hit R. Then type this command, which is basically telling the PC to restart with no delay. Once you hit enter, assuming you typed it right, it should do exactly that. If not, or if you think you made a typo, just hit escape and repeat the process. You can do more with the shutdown command too, like you can create a shortcut to reboot into your UEFI settings with this command. And this command will reboot into advanced startup settings, which is super useful if you need to do that without a display or without having access to Windows' normal UI, like say for example, if you're rebooting a headless machine in another room, or if there's a driver that's making it so that all of a sudden you can't see anything as soon as all of your drivers load and you have no way to get into safe mode. And you can shut down other computers using a command like this, where the name or IP goes right here. There's a whole world of commands like shutdown that you might not know about. It's worth checking out the Learn article on Microsoft's website to see more if you're curious. Curious? Like you're curious about this message from our sponsor. War Thunder. If you're looking for a comprehensive vehicle combat game, give War Thunder a try. It's free to play on PC, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, and Series X with crossplay. With over 2,000 vehicles, including tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships, there is something for everyone to pilot, and the vehicles are modeled down to individual components, offering an immersive combat experience. There are 100 years worth of historically accurate vehicles ranging from the 1920s all the way to the present day. So whether you want fast-paced and action-focused or tactical and realistic, War Thunder is going to have exactly the PvP style that you prefer. Rather than a traditional hit point system, War Thunder uses the damage X-ray system, showing actual damage on the vehicles. Plus, there's no extras needed, so you can fly any aircraft with a keyboard and mouse. The focus on visible damage adds a layer of immersion you don't often get from free-to-play games. So click the link below and start playing War Thunder for free with some premium vehicles and boosts. If you guys enjoyed this video, go check out our previous video on useful Windows software to make Windows 11 feel a little more usable. It's gotten better on its own since then, but that doesn't mean that you can't or shouldn't tweak it to suit your needs.